Okay, so in this video we're gonna learn Plus. So if you want to learn Plus as your one of your skill set, like how to make a website using Plus, okay, you're the right video. So in this video I'm gonna give you the absolute basic, and I'm not gonna we're not gonna build this and you're gonna follow. I'm gonna explain along the way. That's absolutely boring and you're not gonna learn that way. So if you already have a experience on web development, I want to like the tutorial to be absolute basic on the framework. We're not gonna let's build this like we're gonna make like 50 line of parts of video. I don't want to do that. That's gonna absolutely boring anyway. If you watch me do like 50 part or 80 part video and we're gonna build this, that's absolutely boring and you're not gonna learn that. You're not gonna watch a, for example, like 10 minutes video or 20 minutes 40 minutes in one video. That's absolutely crazy and no one's gonna do that, and I don't like that approach. You know what, i'm gonna I'm gonna make all my video like simple and not so long, not over complicated like that. And yeah, so this is the introduction. This is for beginner. You should learn Python now if you're gonna learn web development. At least you have experience on PHP, like PHP. I think this is not the best first web development you're gonna learn. I think you should learn still PHP anyway, because there's so many documented and code exists. This is my personal opinion, and I think I learned the security. Okay, it's so hard to explain some security risks on another language because you're not so familiar about this. But if you say it on PHP, there's a security risk. It's so easy to explain because you have experience, and that's the deeper end of having experience on different language, and you can easily apply on Python anyway. That's my personal opinion. If you can explain it on another language, the security risk about this framework and like that, and yeah, you're a good programmer and you can apply that on any other language. So yeah, let's just start it. Okay, so we're on the overview of the part 2 of the Flask tutorial. So I'm gonna explain a little bit of what is web framework, what is Flask, the SGI. You're gonna see this thing like what is this, like you're gonna hear this a lot. And yeah, let's just start. So what is web framework? So if you're building like I told you, so you should have experience on PHP. It's so easy to explain on another language like PHP because like back on the day, PHP is the it's not the go-to way you're gonna build website, but it's so very popular even now. Like they say that PHP is gone. No, that's bullshit anyway. That's why there's so many you can get easily hack on, because some developers don't have experience on PHP because there's so many well documented written on PHP that you can easily understand. And like if you go to the plus, like they have written this, so developer for the web with cautions, always keep security in mind while building web application. So you know what's the meaning of this. So plus in general is not a for beginner that you can jump so easily and master that. absolutely true anyway. You should have experience on web development in order to like master this. Like there's a if you build this, like you just follow the documentation, you don't know some security risks that you're gonna encounter because you don't have proper experience on like in general. So if you have experience on PHP, it's so easy to apply it on Plus like that. And yeah, let's just start. So what's framework? It's a web application for simply framework represent on a collection of library and modules in order to the verb to be. So what's the framework in general? You can build like a web application without framework, like PHP, like core PHP, like that. You can do that, and without using any kind of library, you can do that. But you're writing a lot of code. So if you use a framework, there's a built-in. Like we're not gonna build the router, the template like that on the scratch. Imagine that if you build that on scratch, you're gonna take a lot of time, and we don't want to do that. And you're gonna take 1 or 3 years to do that and pick some bug. Let somebody maintain that code, and we're gonna use some of that in our project. That's what is framework all about. It's a bunch of collection of library that you're gonna use because you're not gonna maintain that. Like I never hear like a company that maintain all of the code. That's impossible. And yeah, so let's next, what is Plus? So Plus is a web application framework written in Python. So okay, so let's say the easiest way I can explain Plus is a micro framework compared to the Django. So what's the difference between Plus and Django? So Plus is micro framework and Django is full web framework. So okay, in Plus this is so very simplified, and like you can do a API request for this. Like you can do a API web server like so easy on Plus because you don't need to use the 100% of web framework like Django. That's why it's called micro anyway. And yeah, it's so it's built in on Python, right? It's micro. That's it. That's you gonna only thing you gonna understand it. And WSGI website gateway. It's okay. We're not gonna tackle about this anyway. You should at least what does this mean because it's already on the documentation. You're gonna hear this a lot. Recurser, a toolkit. Okay, Jinja, so the template engine that use on Plus, they use Jinja on that. It's kind of weird name anyway. And yeah, so this is the overview. Overall, Plus is not for a absolute beginner, and you're gonna mess this up. Like it's on a chapter like this for web with caution like that. And yeah, so that's where I'm done on the overview. We're gonna go to the installation. If you read this, nothing to on the documentation. Like if you have time, you should read this, the entire documentation. There's not a lot anyway. And yeah, so that's my personal opinion. We're gonna go to the installation for this one. And yeah, see you in the next video. Okay, so we're on the installation for this one. And yeah, let's just start it. So basically we're gonna install Python in our system. So if you if you're watching this, you will have maybe know how to set up your pip, Python, install that separately, and and yeah, it's up to you. You can skip this part if you like, because you know already how to install pip plus or something like that. But for my environment, we're gonna use Laragon for this one because it's so isolated. Like, you don't need to install pip, Python, all of that. You can do that on one software called Laragon. So get the full edition for this one. So this is the best solution I can get for absolute beginner anyway. Like, I'm not gonna go find how to install pip on Python, how to, it's so isolated anyway. Just click the full edition, and after you do that, you're gonna get this thing on Laragon. So go to the roots. So this is where the file we're gonna get, and for you, just open your terminal like that, and we're set and done. So, and yeah, so that's our setup for this one. You're gonna get only the Laragon version. And yeah, so on the next part, we're gonna create our system variables and like that. On the next part, you know what's, we're done on the system environment. So easy. If you have your own, it's up to you. On the next part, we're gonna learn the virtual env. I'm gonna explain it a little bit, why we need to use this. And yeah, see you in the next video. Okay, so in this part, we're gonna install the plus and virtual env. And yeah, let's just start it. So first, you're gonna, if you follow me, if you install Laragon, it's already installed pip and Python. Don't worry about that. And pip, it's already installed. So you need to install the virtual environment. So pip install virtual env, something like that. And on that, we're gonna create your own folder. So I already own my directory anyway, that's why I don't need to make a folder. It's up to you. You can use git. And yeah, let's just start. So first, we're gonna make our virtual environment. So let's say virtual env, like bng. Okay, we're not gonna do that. So the easiest way I can, yeah, virtual env bnb. Okay, ls, we have bnb file now. So how we're gonna do this, we're gonna bnb, and if you see this, so this is a folder file, cd to bnb. Do you see the script? So script file exists on that, and we're gonna go hierarchy. So bnb, so we're gonna access inside of that, we need to access the script. Slash, so activate, so we're gonna activate. Okay, you see this, so we're on the, if you type which pip it will redirect on a virtual environment script.pip pip python, not pip python, which python. We're on the isolated file of virtual environment. So why we gonna use virtual environment? Because it solved one problem. So if you're working like this micro framework like Flask, you're gonna install a bunch of package using pip, and those package updated regularly, and you don't want to mess up your code. That's why virtual environment is so important. Like you're gonna encounter in your application that it can break your entire program. Like if you see the documentation, like they maintain all of the package that running on Plus because they don't want to break the code. And virtual environment is one of those solutions that they have. If version, like for example, like version 2.0 and 1.0, 1.0 work fine and 2.0 doesn't work plus program anymore, that's absolutely gonna problem to you, right? That's virtual env, and you isolate all your package in one file. And yeah, so one more thing, how to deactivate this and go to the normal. So bng script activate deactivate, something like that. So one more time, ls. So we create it using virtual env bnb, like that. Virtual, you can name this whatever you want, like virtual, like something like bnb. It's written on documentation anyway. Like you can call it an like environment, like that. It's up to you. You can name it on here like QQQQ. It's up to you. And if you go inside again, one more time, I'm gonna explain it in B. Inside of here, there's a script. This is one the file we're gonna activate, and go to the hierarchy. So bnb slash script, we're calling the script, and we're gonna activate. And yeah, so we're gonna install plus pip install plus, and yeah, so we're done. ls. And yeah, so we're done on the installation in our virtual environment. See you in the next part. And yeah. Okay, so we're back on the Plus tutorial. So we're gonna create our first Plus application, and yeah, let's just start it. So in Plus, you should create your first file. ls, just type hello.py. So I make folder code called 01 application. So I want to separate all the file. So like I'm gonna create a 02 file, something like a 03 something file, like that, so we can go back and learn it. And yeah, it's up to you anyway, just one file anyway. I'm gonna explain a little bit on Flask. So this is the on the documentation. Where is it? It's on here, and I'm gonna explain a little bit. If you already learned Python, so it's meaning you're importing from Plus file. We install it using pip, right? So up.plus, we're calling that function up in order to run our server. If we run this, so this is a router. It's meaning if you on the URL like slash something like that, helloworld.com will run Okay, it's not running, so I'm gonna run it later on. I'm gonna teach you how to run your first program. And so this function, this one is our router slash, and this function will run on that. So this is our main function. So we create a instance for this one. It's not instance, a variable. So we own our debug to true. So if there's an error, we can debug this. So on app.run in normal way, you can like that, but you can specify the port number. It's unwritten, right? So port number, debug option, and something like that. You can do that on Plus. So I'm gonna port number is equal to 40, and how to run your Flask program. It's so easy, like Python hello.py. It's running on this one. Change it to 400. And yeah, so this is our first Plus program. And yeah, we're good to go. We all understand this is the template for our first program, and we change our port number on this one, app.run, the parameter one. You can read this on GitHub anyway if you're interested, like the entire Flask. It's up to you. So that's the good way to learn programming anyway. So go to the GitHub and go to the Plus. I forgot where's the most star. So this is the right one. Okay, I'm not gonna find the entire code for this one. I think on Flask. And yeah, find it on here if you're interested. App.py, like so very where is it run? Yeah, so there's so many reading code on here. You can do that, you can read it. It's up to you. You can understand and learn of all. It's up to you anyway. And yeah, so we're done on our first program. On the next part, I'm gonna explain about routing on this one. Routing hello world. So we're returning this function if we access on slash. It's mean on root. So on the next part, we're gonna learn a little bit on routing. And yeah, see you on the next part. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the routing in Plus. You see this? I want you to copy this, and we're gonna create our second, how are we gonna say it? Second route, so you can understand it more. Let's say log in, and let's say about log in and about something like that, so you can understand it more. Return log in page, about page, something like that, and cls python hello dot. Okay, I'm not on the right directory. And python hello.py. Okay, it's running. Wait. Okay, I forgot the slash and run it more. and yeah, working fine. So if you're on the slash, it means you're on the top page of your web application. So slash is very important. You should understand that, and you should already know that. And we're gonna go to our login page by using slash login. That's our login page. And about, so you understand now the routing of your application. So very straightforward anyway. And yeah, so this is your routing. And yeah, so nothing to talk about too special about on routing. You understand it by using on these rules. And yeah, see you in the next video. Okay, so let's talk about variable rules in Flask. So in the documentation that you can pass it on the URL, something like that. You can pass string, int, and path or something like that. You can do that on Flask, but okay, if you're a beginner, you should ever think on your head that there's a security risk. That's why you should never learn this on your first web development. I think you should go back on PHP. Like some tutorial out there, they explain about the security risk on the URL, and they can delete your file if you don't like think about what's the security risk. So you should always read the documentation. That's the important thing. Like this one, markup set, import set, we need to add that on our file. Copy that, and I'm gonna copy this entire file so we can get the idea for this. I'm gonna explain a little bit anyway, and we're gonna run our file .py. Okay, so we're back on the code. Like on this one, username slash, we're gonna pass it by username. So user, and we're gonna pass the username. I'm gonna say my name, hello Kagajan. It's passed on in here. Okay, sure. That's, I told you before, right? You should read the documentation. Like if you're a beginner, like you run it without using markup safe and run this code, we pass it, and they can mess you up. I think injection gonna work on this. I think PHP will work if you manage to escape on without using escape like that. There's a security risk. You should always put it on your head on that. And let's say int on this one. So this one for string, you can pass it, and next one is for int. Let's say post that 1 because it's integer, post 1, post 2, and 3, and so on. And we're gonna subpath. How it's the, okay, it's kind of subpath. It's kind of like this with like current directory path, like that, like a directory. You can do that too, and they can access your subdirectory if you're not very careful on this without using escape. Like you can see that on PHP more easily. It's well known attack anyway. And yeah, so that's our variable rules. You can do float too on this one. It's so very straightforward anyway. Float, post ID, let's say post float, let's pass it like something like that. Okay, it's not running, we need to run it one more time. And like that. It's not running. Let's run it, and you can do float too by using post float. And let's say 12.40, like something like that. Post ID float, we pass it, S, and S. We run it one more time. Okay, it's running fine. Post sign. Okay. Another mistake, should be doing this F for float. And yeah, you can do that too. And yeah, you understand now the URL, the routing for variable rules. And yeah, we're gonna go to the unique URL redirection behavior. And yeah, see you in the next part. Okay, so let's talk about unique URL in Flask. So basically, I'm gonna see you the code. So for example, for this one, for our route, if our route have a slash and without slash on the back, let's say slash project slash about, and without slash on the back. So what it looks like, what's the outcome for this one. So let's just start. Let's go to the project anyway. If we go slash project like that, if without slash, it will auto direct to the right one. So for example, what happen if you go to the about page and you add slash for that? What will happen? You're gonna not found error. So this is so very important, and this is unique URL in Flask. You should remember this. If your route don't have and you add slash on it, it will not find anyway. And yeah, so that's the unique URL you should remember, without slash or slash. It's so very straightforward. And yeah, so see you in the next tutorial. Okay, so let's talk about URL building. So in the documentation, it's kinda, how we gonna say it, overcomplicated. Not overcomplicated. So I'm gonna give you the best idea for this one. So I'm gonna pull this out, and so in our application on URL building, you can get the code anyway. In the end of the video, I'm gonna post all of my code on here, so you can follow anyway, and you can just a reference. So basically, for this one, we create a app for admin, guest, and username, and something like that. So we're gonna redirect our, if our user is admin, we're gonna use the admin function, and if it's guest, we're gonna get the guest. So by you, okay, so this is very important. If you're gonna use Plus, you should read the at least in my personal opinion, on the GitHub, I already pull you the GitHub anyway. Read the official, and there's a function called redirect and URL for that. I did not just build this, or how you gonna say it, hard coded this. It's already on the Plus. It exists, okay? That's why you should read the Flask if you want to become a web developer. That's the only way. Like, because I say it, no, because I read the documentation too. And yeah, so let's just start it anyway. So this, on this example, I'm gonna see you the URL building looks like. So we're gonna go to the user. If our user is admin, we're gonna use the admin function. If it's not, on the guest. So user, and we want our user to be my name, so it will become guest. User, like that. Okay, hello, and my name as a guest. So we're using this route. So what if we are using the admin? So user is equal to admin. And, yeah, hello admin. So very straightforward. I never overcomplicated these things. This is how you're gonna use the URL building. You're gonna check the user. If it's not, it will redirect to the other thing. Using redirect and URL, you need to import that on the top of this, plus redirect URL for it's on the documentation if you want to read that. And yeah, so this is URL building. We're gonna go to the next video anyway. Okay, so let's talk about HTTP method in Plus. So HTTP method on Plus is like post, get and post and delete, head, like that. It's already self-explanatory. Those are HTTP method. And the explanation for HTTP method for Plus is very short, and you cannot understand what's happening. If you already know PHP or something like that, you can easily, how you gonna say it, understand this. So on this one, on our 06 HTTP method, we create login.html and hello.py. So we have two files for this one, so we can understand it. And on this one, we just form action. So I'm gonna open this on the, where is it, file. I'm gonna click this. Okay, like that. So this is our index login.html. Okay, I'm gonna put it on here. And where's our Flask? Where is it? Yeah, on here. Okay, I'm gonna run this one so you can see what's happening. Python hello.py. Okay, everything's running. Hello world. If you see the login.html, we have a input the text with name of username. If we submit it, we're gonna go to the local host on our login page. It will jump on here on our hello world on here with method of post and get. So if it's post, we're gonna get the username and redirect it to the success, something like that. So we already understand URL building on the last part. you can build your URL building for this one. So on this part we're gonna understand only the HTTP method. So if you go to the login, after you submit it, it will go to this URL and login method with post. We already know because it's submit. We're gonna get it, the username, request form that username. What is this username? What is this request that form? So you need to add that on the form plus import and request. You need to add that request method and user, and we're gonna bypass it to the success that name and that. So we know it's a request, right? It's post because we're gonna submit it. You know what, I'm gonna run this so you understand what's happening. I'm gonna write my name, I guess, on here and submit. Okay, welcome Kagaya, something like that. And that's the HTTP method for this one. And yeah, so very straightforward. Anyway, you can get the code and understand it more. And yeah, so if it's not post, it will do something else. Request harm that get username, something like that. You can do that too. And yeah, so we're done on HTTP method. This is only the basic. I don't want you get you overcomplicate things. So just understand the post, get, and that. And yeah, see you on the next part. We're gonna go to the static file. Not static file, template, I guess. See you in the next part. Okay, so in this part we're gonna learn about the rendering template in Flask. So on the last tutorial on HTTP method, I did not render the index, the HTML part. We just access it on the local URL and we direct it to our Flask application. So we don't want that to happen. We want to render it on our file on here. So on this one we're gonna render template for this one. So we need to create a folder called template and put your file you want to render. If you see the documentation, they never explain it. Like you should already know the Jinja 2 template works. So it's not template, you should put S for this one. So if you use the function called return render, like something like that, I'm gonna paste it on here anyway. Like it's not hello, let's say, what's that, login, log in. Slash render. Okay, so we solved that problem. We import that. And you know what? It's already running, right? Let's run our Python code. Okay, everything's running. I'm gonna refresh this, refresh that, and yeah. So this is how we're gonna render template. And again, it's not really explained on this. It's explained. It's on the folder called templates. you should create your template file for this one and put your HTML you want to render. And yeah, so this is how you're gonna render templates in Flask. And yeah, see you in the next part, another rendering templates. We're gonna learn it more. And yeah, see you in the next part. Okay, so we're back on the tutorial. So we're gonna talk about Jinja 2 template. And you know what? Let's just start it. I'm gonna make this quick as possible. So if we go back on our code, so I'm gonna put it on here. So on Jinja 2 template, if you see this, it's meaning it says statement. If you see this type thing, it's a expression and comment and single line of comment. That's it. That's the Jinja 2 template. If you already know Laravel or any kind of template engine, like they use this kind of curly brace or something like that, even PHP or Cake PHP. And on this example, we have a route that on /hello we're gonna get the user, so that username will pass. So this one's so very important. How we gonna pass a variable to the template by using render template? Just learn this. And okay, one more time, how to pass variable on your HTML template. You're gonna pass this on the second parameter, and you're gonna go to the hello.html using this one, the expression, using expression hello.name. And yeah, very straightforward. You know what, let's run this thing. We're gonna go to the hello, and of course my name anyway. Yeah, hello kagad dyan. Very straightforward again. It's so easy. This is how you're gonna use the Jinja 2 template. On this part, we already put the expression. On the next video, we're gonna learn about statement, like if else statement like that on our template file, so you can practice more a lot. And yeah, see you in the next part. Okay, so we're back on the tutorial. We're still in the template anyway. So on the last part, we got the expression. For this one, we're gonna do the statement. So if you're already like experienced on PHP, like doing that weird thing, it's all the same of the template engine. And yeah, let's just start it. So on this example, we're gonna do a score passing rendering. So render our template hello.html, but we're gonna test our score if it's passed or not. Okay, so on this part, very explanatory. It's so easy. And on hello.html, we're gonna use the statement. If marks is greater than 50, your result is pass. If else, you are fail. And you know what, we're gonna access it on the /hello, and we need to pass in the integer. So let's say 60. Okay, you pass. And what about 45? You fail. And you get the idea. I'm not gonna overcomplicate this thing again and over. So this is the for statement for Jinja template. Very straightforward. You can get the code anyway. And yeah, so we're on the next part. We're still on template again. See you in the next tutorial. Like and subscribe if you just watch. yeah, see you in the next tutorial. Okay, so we're back on the tutorial, and yeah, let's just start it. So first, we're still on template anyway, so I wanna make another tutorial for statement like that. And you know what, I'm gonna give you an example for result. We're gonna pass a dictionary on that, and we're gonna do a, how we gonna say it, for loop, and we're gonna loop all of this science, English, and math using for loop. And yeah, let's just start it. So we're gonna access this by going to result, something like that. And yeah, if you see the code, key and value and result time, we're gonna get the key and the value. And yeah, so that's how we're gonna do it. It's kind of weird way if you ask me, like this one. So this is the for statement, and for, we're gonna use and for, and the, what is it, expression. Okay, so this double quote is for expression, and this one is for statement. So you should remember that. And yeah, you're gonna use this a lot anyway in class. So very straightforward, nothing too special. You can get the code. And yeah, so see you in the next tutorial. And yeah, like and subscribe. Okay, so we're back on the tutorial. So we're gonna learn about static file in Flask. On this example, so we have a simple, like our top page, hello world, rendered like login HTML. And this is how you're gonna load your JS or CSS, something like that. You're gonna type the impression URL for static. This means the folder file name. So this one is for the folder file name. This one, make your static folder, put your JS and CSS. I don't know what you're gonna load anyway, CSS or JavaScript for your file. And the file name hello.js. And yeah, so the function we're gonna do, if we click, we're gonna alert hello world. Nothing too special, nothing overcomplicated, nothing, very straightforward. Okay, I'm gonna click this, and yeah, hello world. So that's how we're gonna load static file in Flask. Not overcomplicated, so easy. You can download it on my Git. And static file. Okay, so yeah, see you in the next tutorial. Like and subscribe. Okay, so we're back. So we're gonna learn about request object. If you send a post on your, for example, on this one, and you're gonna get all the data. Okay, I'm gonna need to run this thing. And you're gonna get your score or something like that. That's how you're gonna do this. Like I told you back on the request, I forgot to HTTP method. So on the request.form, you can get the entire request that's sent on this one by using form, or you can just specify what kind of, or where is it you're gonna get. But on this one, we're gonna get the entire post one. For example, on student, this one, we're gonna get this, and this. And yeah, so one more time I'm gonna explain it how it's work anyway. So we'll make a route that render student.html, and if we submit this, we're gonna go to a result.url with method of post. If you see the code, if request method is equal to post, get all the data on that, put it on the result. So this one should be on dictionary because key and value are stored in here. So what's the key and value for that? This one and the input. So those are the two that will send back on our hello.py and return it to the result.html, and you got the result.item. So so nothing too special about this. We already learned this on HTTP method. And yeah, so this is a request object by post, and yeah, I think nothing too special, very self-explanatory. We see how the code works. We already learned the Jinja 2 template on here. Like, you don't want me to write this all the code anyway. And yeah, see you in the next tutorial. Okay, we're back on the tutorial. So let's talk about cookies in Flask. So what is cookies in Flask? So it's kind of a data that's stored on your computer. So for example, like if you wanna remember the user ID, that's how cookies works. It's remember your username. And the only bad thing about cookies, you should never put your password as the cookies, because somebody can read your cookie, steal your cookies, and yeah, get your password. So that's the bad way of creating your password. And yeah, so you should never put cookies on your password. And yeah, you know what, let's just start it. So I'm gonna run this thing so you can get the idea. So I'm gonna enter my user ID, for example, like this, login, and I'm gonna get the cookies. And yeah, it remember me even I refresh this, because this one read my cookies. And yeah, so this is how we're gonna do it anyway. It's very simple, very straightforward. If you wanna use cookies on your application, you can do this easily. And yeah, let's just start it. So first, we're on the application route. It's only an index file. It's just an input that post will send us to the set cookies on this function. What it'll do, it will return we will redirect to the read cookies.html, so we can click the hyperlink. And if you see this, so user request that form nm, so we're referring to this one. So we're gonna get that username and put it under set cookies, and that's how you're gonna do it. And it's so very easy. Okay, so there's a one thing that you should know is make response, something like that. We never use this. Okay, so if you wanna become a plus developer, something like that, or any kind of developer, you should read that documentation. I already told you over and over again. Like, so where you get this function anyway? So it's on the plus. It's on here, plus. There's so many built-in function on plus that exists. You don't need to hard code it anyway. And yeah, so it will return the set cookies. And if we're gonna get the get cookies, we're gonna go to this URL and request cookies.get user ID. Because we name it user ID, we set, this is how we're gonna set it. So I'm gonna comment this up. This is how to set cookie. This is how to get cookie. So very straightforward. And yeah, so set and get, request get user ID. And yeah, so that's how you're gonna do it. Very straightforward. You can read the code and get it anyway, like nothing to like that. One more time. So we're gonna, like, let's say John, something like that, and get our cookies. Yeah, welcome John. So that's cookies in Plus. You know what, see you in the next tutorial. I'll just wake up today. I need more coffee. Okay, so let's talk about session on Plus. So it's already on the documentation anyway, so I'm gonna give you a little bit of how you're gonna say it, a introduction what session is compared to cookies. So cookies stored on your computer, somewhere on your computer, and session stored on the client side on your browser. And yeah, so for example, the best example I can explain, if you log in on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, your sessions stay on the browser most of the time. And yeah, that's why browser know that you are logged in, because you have your session stay on the browser. And yeah, that's it. And you know what, I'm gonna run this thing anyway so you can get the idea. Okay, so if you are logged in, so this is the easiest way session really can be explained, the easiest way as possible. So if you are on the website, like you are not logged in, you're gonna prompt on this, click here to log in. So enter your name. I'm gonna enter mine and submit it. So even I refresh the entire page, the browser know who I am. And yeah, so that is session anyway. And yeah, so this is session in Plus in general. So you know what, I'm gonna explain a little bit on this. So on the documentation, like, in order to use session, you have a secret key. Here is how session works anyway. You need to create on app that key, like you need to put a random number, something like this, in order this to work. And you know what, it's on the documentation, just follow what it say anyway. Like I see this on documentation. So yeah, let's just start it. So first, on our index file, we're gonna check if username is in session. So what is session, where is it? It's on Plus, on here. Okay, I told you before, you should read the documentation of Plus. Don't just read any kind of, how you gonna say it, like, you should go to the official GitHub, read this inside the code and understand it. That's the easiest way to learn Plus in general, or any kind of framework anyway. Like, you're not gonna learn if you just follow or something. And like, you're waiting to somebody to teach you this, I think you should go on the official Plus, read the entire code. Not say entire code, just learn a little bit. And yeah, so the browser gonna think who you are, because we're checking the username is in session. If it's true, get the username and the username. We're gonna prompt our name, who we are. If you're not, you are not logging, go to the login page, and we're gonna go to login. And if you go to login on this route, and they're gonna say request method post session username request. So this is a two kind of, okay, this is kind of two way to handle this, like if else statement. Like, don't worry about the way I write on this. Like, if you have requests on this URL, you're gonna check it if it's it, and it will store the session and redirect you to the index file. That's it. That's how this code works. If you're not logging, you're gonna go on this one, and yeah, enter your name. You know what, another name, let's say 2020, and yeah, log in as you're at 2020. So you are on the here, because you're on here, your username is on the session, and it's meaning you're on the session. Yeah, so there's a one thing there's a function called session.pop is equal to none. It's meaning if you log out, redirect to URL, you can delete the session of that user, so they are log out. And yeah, so that's very straightforward anyway. Yeah, username request form return redirect, it's kind of same. This is how the way they write it anyway, and it's called session pop on here. Okay, so this is session anyway. On the next part, we're gonna talk about how to generate good secret key on the next part. And yeah, see you in the next video. Okay, so how to generate good secret key on Flask. So I find this on Stack Overflow anyway. So in order to get, so we're gonna import something called import. You know what, I'm gonna just copy this. I'm too lazy to do this. And yeah, so we're gonna put it on our generate key, something like that, and we're gonna run this thing. Okay, so we need to specify the length, so let's say 25. And yeah, so everything's working fine. 2 lines of code, so we're not logged in, so we need to. And yeah, so this is how we're gonna create our generate good secret key. In Plus, you can use import that secret and generate that token URL safe or something like that. And yeah, so you know what, see you in the next part anyway. This is gonna be short, I don't want to make this long. Okay, so we're back on a tutorial. So we're gonna learn about redirect and error for this one. So I'm gonna give you a example for this one, and you know what, I'm gonna type my ID unauthorized, and if I try admin, login successfully. So that's the redirect and error that we're gonna learn today. Okay, so this thing is so very self-explanatory. 404, 401. Let's talk about 400. For bad request, 401, unauthenticated, forbidden, not found, not acceptable, unsupported, too many requests. So these are the that you can use if you want to redirect somebody. Like 401 is like unauthenticated if you're not a admin, if you're making a login or something like that system, you can use this. And this thing is so easy. So if you're checking the user, if it's not, you're gonna use upboard for this one. So you need to import this on plus import upboard. So it's a built-in on plus, you don't need to build this on scratch anyway. So the parameter for this, you need to pass the code parameter for this one is like this. And yeah, so nothing too special, it's easy to implement this. Yeah, nothing to explain in my personal opinion. So it just programming is just a if-else statement in my personal opinion. So request that format username, we already know this. When you're logging HTML, you're gonna check this input name, that username, because it's a post on here. Check if it's post. If it's not, go to the index. So if you're trying to use not post for this one, so you're gonna check username or something like that. And yeah, so that's redirect and error. You see the documentation, it's kind of they did not give you a better example for this. It's like kind of like this anyway. And yeah, I hope you learn. I think nothing to explain for this one anyway. The only thing you're gonna import is the upboard one on this one, this, so you can use this function. And redirect and URL for, we already learned this thing. And yeah, that's it. Okay, so in this part we're gonna learn about flashing. It's kind of viewer successfully logging or something like that. It's built on plus, but I don't like to do this thing. Like, you're gonna use this kind of thing, but I can build this on JavaScript. Like, if you don't put your username or password, you can do that too on JavaScript anyway. But yeah, so maybe you're gonna encounter this, what is flash or something like that. You were successful logger. So let's say admin secret. Yeah, you were successfully logged in, and you can use that. It's so very straightforward anyway. And yeah, so that is the message flashing or something like that. Nothing too overcomplicated. And we're gonna go only to the, where is it, on this login, this one. You're gonna use that get flash dot message. If message, if it's true, if it have a value, you're gonna for loop for this one. It's kind of weird anyway if you think about this, but yeah, so this is only you're gonna do. I'm not gonna over complicate it, you already show it to you. This one, this is the flashing the message. It's so very straightforward anyway. On the back end, only one line of code. On your front end, you're gonna get this one. And yeah, so that is messaging flashing. I'm not gonna overcomplicate you. and see you in the next tutorial. Okay, we're gonna talk about uploading file in Plus, and I'm gonna go to the documentation for this. Kind of overwhelming if you see this, and you know what, you don't need, because I already work and all the code is working fine at this point. If you're watching this video in this version, like they did not, if you see this code like that, like you need to figure out what's going on, what's happening on this code. But you know what, I'm gonna see what's the file upload. So this is the on the documentation. So this is the safest way. I don't recommend you like getting codes like somebody else like that. It's not safe. And we're gonna go to the documentation of the of Plus, because you don't need to build this on scratch anyway. There's a built-in function. They already test this. And you know what, I'm gonna do it, upload, and like that, upload that, and yeah. So if you go to the folder file, you're gonna see this where my upload is. And yeah, so it's working fine anyway. I'm gonna explain a little bit. And on the documentation, so there's some like they did not add that on the documentation. If you see this, it's kind of overwhelming anyway. And you know what, let's just start it. So first you need to import this one, send from directory. Like we never learned this thing, so where you pull this thing, it's on the documentation. You need to use this in order to send from directory. And yeah, let's just start it. So we're working on this kind of file, browser.util, to secure file name. Like on older version, like it's not on the util folder like that, .util. Like they update it, and some old tutorial like they use this only. That's why you should always read the documentation. And first of all, you need to specify this for your upload folder, allowed extension, app.config. So I did not put the dimension of size of the picture you're gonna upload. It's up to you. You can, where is it? You can get that on, where is it? Yeah, this one, improving upload. So app content length, like that. You can do that. And yeah, it's up to you anyway. You can check that too. So these the four are very important anyway on this tutorial. And this one's on documentation, allowed extension. So this is how you can implement that. You don't need to like check the file name that like, okay, you cannot upload like only allowed file on this. This is the best practice. So for example, if somebody like upload like index.php, that can delete your entire directory, you're already fucked, and you don't want that to happen. So you should always allow the extension only. It's a good practice. Like if you're running on like Linux, like your PHP running on your system, if they somehow like run the code on your directory, like delete the entire directory, and yeah, you already messed up anyway. And upload that file name. Where's your file you're gonna upload? And up that route. So this the upload, all the, how we gonna say it, the background happening. If request that post, already know this, request file, no such file. And you don't need to like understand this all, like this saying that we're gonna get the file and put it on the folder name, and all of the security, like it's already built in. That's why the good thing using like Django and Flask, you don't need to implement that on the scratch. You should always, like, on your back of your head, like, you understand what's happening on the code. And yeah, so if there's a bug, you should go to the GitHub and say there's a bug about like this and like that type of attack, and they're gonna fix it. It's not your job to fix the entire, like, framework anyway. And yeah, so file, nothing too complicated about this. So secure that file name, that's on the documentation. You should use that. I think you should read the secure that file name. Maybe I have a time I'm gonna read how they implement the secure file name or something like that. And yeah, so this is the file upload. You can use my code or enhance this. And yeah, see you in the next tutorial. Okay, so extension. So on Python, so they call Python a micro framework anyway. Like, there's no like database connection like that. You need to install that, or mail or something like that, built in Plus. You need to install like extension or something like that in order to build a full-fledged web application. That's where extensions are gonna come in on the next part of our tutorial anyway. Like, if you say extension for Plus, we're saying we're gonna install something package in our Plus program in order to work. And that's it only. That's the only thing you're gonna understand, what's the difference of micro framework and like Django versus Plus. Plus is a micro framework. Like, you don't need, like, for example, if you're installing Django, you're gonna install the entire, like, if you don't use it, it's installed in one file. Compared to the micro framework, you have the option to install this or install that if you don't like, to make your code like simple as possible. That's why Plus is very popular. And yeah, so it's already written in documentation, and I don't want to make you overcomplicate. Just if you say Plus extension, we're installing a package on Plus, something like that. On the next part, we're gonna make a mail, and we're gonna install on extension, something like that. And yeah, see you in the next part. Okay, so in this time I'm gonna show you. So in the last part, we talk about extension. So we're gonna install the mail extension in Plus, so we can send mail. And so we're gonna install it using pip install plus.mail, so we can use the mail function to send in Plus. You can use without this on regular Python. And but yeah, it's on Plus, they maintain this, it's secure anyway. You know what, let's just start it. So we're gonna import that. So this is the extension that we're talking about, plus.mail, import mail and message. So this is very straightforward anyway. It's on the documentation. You can easily copy that, or you can use the code in my GitHub anyway. It's up to you if you want to learn. Go to the documentation or source, and yeah, this is it. And this is the example that you're gonna encounter this anyway, so you can come back on my video and get the source code. It's up to you. You can play around. It's working fine. I already test this, and it's a simple program that will send you the mail. It's like 20 line of code anyway, if you're gonna count it all. Better Tutorial mail port, your mail should be the same on the sender and recipient where you're gonna send the mail, and the body of that. Very straightforward. I already test this. I got the mail on this one, and yeah, working fine. And you need to go to the less secure app and turn it on this one, on this username, and to this one. You should turn it on, and because your app gonna think that you somebody using your mail or something like that, you should turn it on. And I'm gonna close this. And yeah, so this is only the last part. We're talking about the extension. We're just install the mail, because on Plus it's not a full, how are we gonna say it, framework. It's micro framework, and you need to install most of that. For example, SQL, Alchemy, or something like that. Mail, it's not installed. You should install this separately. And yeah, so I'm not gonna make it longer, so we're gonna tackle about another extension. I think we have 3 more extension we're gonna tackle about, so this is one of those, mail. And yeah, see you on the next part. Okay, so we're back on the next tutorial. So we're gonna talk about the, where is it, this package called WTF. And this is the continuation of my extension for Plus. If you already know PHP, you can, like, if you want to make a form, you can do that on Scratch. But on Plus, you don't want to, like, do that, recreate the same wheel on over and over again. Like, there's a, like, project that who maintain this code. Like, you're not gonna maintain this code most of the time. Their job is to maintain that code, and we're gonna use it so we can skip and save our time, like CRF token, all of that security. You don't need to build that on absolute scratch anyway. And yeah, so that's why Plus extension are very useful. So one of these are this one, WTF. You don't need to, how many line of codes you're gonna create this and test it over and over. It gonna takes you forever, and you can get my code on here. So you know what, let's just start it. So it's kind of like this, and form. Okay, so what I mistake, yeah, so yeah, this one. So wait, and yeah, it's kind of like this. And something like that. Yeah, successful send, thanks, and like and subscribe. So it's kind of like this anyway. So you can get this on my code. So the point of this video is, like, I'm explaining you that this kind of extension exists for this one. So if I make a tutorial for WD, it's gonna take you like a lot of video, because read the documentation for this. It's kind of very straightforward. I'm not gonna lie for that. they make a good tutorial for this on their official site. And yeah, so you can download my code by using this one. You're gonna install the plus WTF, another very important, and email validator, and you're gonna get this kind of error anyway, the email validator for installing the plus WTF. And yeah, so basically if you're gonna use somebody package or something, you're gonna encounter that a lot. And if you're gonna want to contribute, go to their official site, ask question for that. That's how web developer works anyway. If you're using somebody, if you find bugs or something like that. And yeah, very straightforward. You can get the example on my get, it's on my first video, you can get that. And yeah, so we're gonna talk about another extension topic like SQLite. We're gonna talk about a little bit on database. So you know what, see you in the next video. Okay, so we're back on the tutorial. So we're gonna talk about SQLite. So if you already learned Python and you can easily connect SQLite on your Plus so easily, and you know what, let's just start it. So for example, this one, I have a Plus program that can add, and let's say like that, and we submit it, go back to homepage and list. So like kind of like this, so it's easy to practice. So I have the code anyway, you can download it on my GitHub. And yeah, so I'm gonna explain it a little bit how you're gonna use it. So you're gonna run the database first, create a db.py, and to create our database. Of course you cannot see that. And where is it? And yeah, so let's talk about a little bit. After you run the database, let's talk about hello. And where is it? Yeah, so very straightforward. So where I'm gonna talk, okay, so this is the post or get. If we, after you submit it, you're gonna get all the posts on here. So you're gonna get all that and insert it on our table called, what's the table name? Table students. And so very easy, like this is the absolute basic anyway, and commit it. And okay, so what's the point of this? So I'm saying that if you already learned like PHP or something like that, it's so easy to do this on Python too. It's absolutely the same but different language only. And for example, yeah, like there's nothing I can teach you about, like this thing is so explanatory, and you can get the code, you can see what's going on here. Yeah, so like select from all student, like something like that, you pass it on your template. So on our main file, like this thing is so absolutely self-explanatory. And let's go to the template, this one, self-explanatory. Just go into the URL and list.html. how we gonna pass it after we pass it? So list, so we're gonna go to our database and we're gonna pass the entire row by using fetch.call. You see that? So that's so very straightforward, nothing too special. You're just looping inside of this, and the result for this one, yeah, very straightforward. It's just a select anyway. And yeah, you're gonna learn a lot if you read the code. and you can be like one of your like templates if you want. It's up to you anyway, it's on the code. And if you have a question, leave the comment and maybe I'm ask some question anyway. Yeah, with SQL Connect as connection, very straightforward. And yeah, so this is one of the case that you're gonna use SQLite. On the next part, SQL Alchemy. So I'm just saying that you can do this, okay, for this part. And yeah, see you in the next tutorial. Okay, so let's talk about SQL Alchemy on Plus. So basically, you can do like typing raw HTML, not raw HTML, raw SQL in Plus, but you can use ORM like SQL Alchemy like that to install to your application. It's up to you anyway. And why is the reason for that? So Plus is a micro framework, right? If your application don't need to use this kind of approach, it's like it's on your decision to do this compared to Django that's already been installed. And yeah, that's the difference between micro and full pledge framework like Django anyway. And in this part, I'm gonna show it how it works anyway. You can get the code and test it by yourself. It's just a template anyway, you can use to your own. You know what, let's just start it. So for example, for this one, it's a CRUD application. It's not a CRUD. You can just add a new, for example, student for this one. And let's say like that. I live in Kobe, 6 to E. Something like that. I don't know, the submit. And yeah, so very straightforward anyway. You can play this around. And the way you're gonna install is you need to install first the, okay, you need to install this one, Alchemy, first to make this work, and something like that. You need to install that first, and you're gonna specify your SQL updated by URI on this one. Just name it whatever you want anyway. And yeah, db SQL admin that app, pass your app on here, and you're gonna do it on your main db.create all. It will create your database. So if you go to your directory, there's a called student SQL Lite 3 or something like that. That's your database. And for our ORM, very straightforward. Create. And yeah, so that's how it is. So if I talk about SQL Alchemy tutorial, it will give like more 7 or 10 video. It's a just say you should, on this part you just think about that ORM are possible using on Plus. That's it. That's the only way you're gonna think about on this video anyway. And yeah, self-explanatory most of the part on this. You're only gonna pass on here the student. And yeah, nothing too special anyway if you ask me. Very straightforward. We already learned this on, yeah, kind of very straightforward anyway. And yeah, so you can play this around, get this code on my Git. And yeah, very short video anyway. SQL Alchemy, it's kind of a object relation mapping that you can use it on your project. it's up to you, and you can just type row SQL. It's possible anyway. And yeah, so we're done with the extension. We're only one last extension we're gonna tackle called AJAK on our Flask program. I think this is the three famous extension on the Flask community. And yeah, see you on the next video. Okay, so let's talk about plus CJAC and plus. So if you wanna use AJAC on your program plus, you need to install this on the documentation. Pip install plus CJAC, and yeah. So these examples on the official, I managed to make this thing run. So if you wanna interested to learn this, get the code, everything's working fine. And yeah, so it's kinda, you need to put too much effort on this one to read this all and understand it. So basically, for example, for this, you need to create, after installing pip, you need to create static.js, the folder, this one, CJAC. Need to create that. Don't put anything on that, it will auto generate, because on here cjack.app, it will run on your main if you run this. And yeah, so on this one, the index.html, you're gonna get the JS or hello, something, hider, something, object that responds, hider, something like that. Okay, so we're gonna run this, click here and hider. And yeah, so this is very short for CJAC. You got the code running, you can get it and learn it and read the documentation so you can play it around. And yeah, it's kind of overwhelming anyway if you ask me. Like, they throw you out of here and you don't know what you're gonna do, right? And yeah, see you on the next part, and like and subscribe. Okay, so we're on the final part of the plus series that I make. I almost explained most of it. If you go to the documentation, it's kinda all. We already tackled this all anyway. And yeah, so you can still read the documentation. I just make it easy to you. Like, it's overwhelming if you go to the official documentation, installation, quick start. So we already tackled on here, so the basic one. And yeah, so there's so many still left, but this is the basic, okay, for plus. Even you manage to read this all, like, there's so many security risks that you're gonna still understand. Like, for example, like on the form, like, there's so many, like, even you watch this my video, I made this kind of series, make it like 3 minutes to 5 minutes, no bullshit. Don't want me to write all this code. I'm gonna explain the most important things so you can easily jump in on plus. That's my goal anyway. And yeah, so you're just scratching the surface of it. Like, even we're gonna still learn on the SQL alchemy more a lot, and implement some functionality. And yeah, so you can get my entire code, so you can play the basic anyway. You can easily jump on here, from here to here. So this one is a tutorial. You're gonna build a login like system like that. It's a blog like that. But yeah, you're good to go. if you watch my entire video, you just learn on here to here. Onward, you're gonna learn it by your own self anyway. On the extension, we're still we tackle this. No need to learn that. Yeah, kind of. So I don't want to make longer videos, so like and subscribe, and I hope you learn a lot. And yeah, so just follow me on not my official GitHub anyway. So on my this one, I use this on my a lot of tutorial anyway. Just follow me so you can get more codes for free anyway. And yeah,